Let's talk about George Osborne's trip to Berlin, where he's been in talks with the German finance minister. The visit has been billed as part of the government's effort to renegotiate Britain's relationship with the EU. And he's been calling for safeguards to protect British businesses operating in the Eurozone. Let's have a look at his speech to German business leaders a short while ago.
Today, we both have a responsibility also to show economic leadership in Europe. For there is a simple truth. We are Europe's engine for jobs and for growth. Since the economic crash 7 years ago, our two economies each expanded by the same 13%.
That was George Osborne. Well, Jacob Rees-Mogg, he says he's calling for principles embedded in EU law and binding on EU institutions to govern a two-tier Europe, integrated Eurozone surrounded by a looser group of countries using their own currencies. Is that going to be enough to satisfy people to vote to stay in the EU?
I don't think what we've heard about the renegotiation is yet ambitious enough. I think we need a more fundamental change in our relationship, a significantly looser relationship with the European Union, and not so much being in a different tier as being an associate member who has free trade, but is not tied up to the concept of political union and the steps towards that.
Right, so at the moment, you would vote to withdraw?
At the moment, I would vote to withdraw.
I mean, going on to what George Osborne is talking about with his German counterpart, the treaty changes would include the recognition that the EU has more than one currency and we should not discriminate against any business on the basis of the currency. Well, that's not telling me anything that I don't know already.
That's perfectly sensible, and actually the single market is not meant to allow people to discriminate on the basis of currency already. So that's already in the treaties. That's just changing the wording of something that's already there.
Right. So, I mean, amongst your colleagues, are they expecting something substantial from these negotiations?
The government has amazingly cleverly lowered expectations to a point where if they get anything at all, people will be pleasantly surprised. The question is whether what they do get in the end is sufficient. Currently, expectations are on the floor.
What about the areas of freedom of movement and immigration? For you, is that a must in terms of getting some sort of deal for Britain to control further its own borders?
It's absolutely essential, partly because it's totemic, that it's one of the four freedoms of the EU. And if the EU were to say that a member state could pull out of that, it would show that the EU is open to change, not just that the UK is demanding different things.
But you don't honestly think that's going to happen, do you?
Well, 183,000 economic migrants came from the European Union last year. If we don't get control of our borders, then we will carry on having hundreds of thousands coming in. The Prime Minister committed to getting the number down to tens of thousands. He's a man who delivers on his promises.
He didn't in the last Parliament.
No, but he tried to, and he wants to continue to try to, and therefore I think he must be wanting to sort out the free movement of people problem.
Let's go to our daily quiz.